Greetings, everyone. This is Rockwell Swat Connection with the Weekly Comic Roundup. We'll get things started with Cable #1. That's right, a new series focusing on everyone's favorite temporarily displaced son of the Summers family. So we begin with Wolverine and Cable fighting in what is known as the Quarry. And apparently, because of how close Logan is with Scott and, well, for all intents and purposes, Cable's parents, Cyclops and Jean Grey, he's apparently affectionately referred to as Uncle Logan. In attendance at the quarry are Callisto and the Gorgon. And when all said and done, Cable manages to pin Wolverine, in part using the metal skeleton as a means of keeping him pinned. And Silver Samurai, who oversees the quarry, declares Cable the winner. It turns out that the Gorgon had bet a bottle of booze on. Gorgon and Callisto had bet bottles of booze on the fight, with Callisto betting on Wolverine and Gorgon betting on Cable. Callisto mentions that she wouldn't have bet against old man Cable. Also, it seems Dakin and I'm not sure who the other one. It appears there's a Wolverine fan club who are there, shirtless with Logan painted on with the individual letters of Logan painted on their chests, and I think one of those is supposed to be Dakin with the O on his chest, but I can't tell who else might be there. Logan accuses Cable of cheating, though Cable explains there's no cheating in the quarry, except for what magic did. What magic did is unknown. And so, a wager was made, Wolverine lost, and so he now owes Cable a marker. We also get an official combat record of the quarry. The first fight was between Gorgon and Magic. Apparently Magic was disqualified, netting Gorgon a win. Then there was a draw between Nightcrawler and Blink. Esme Cuckoo won in the fight against Irma Cuckoo. Rogue won in the fight against Havoc. Magma won over Firestar. M beat Bishop. Wolfsbane beat Pyro. Dazzler beat Jubilee. Leech beat Artie, which kind of makes sense. At least that Leech would win. Not so much that they would fight, but, yeah. Callisto beat Pyro. Callisto beat Fish. Callisto beat Jumbo Carnation. And now, the 13th match, Cable has beaten Wolverine. So it turns out that Cable has something of a date, though. 2 dates. Pixie and Armor. However, as they're heading out to wherever they're going to go, well, Hanoi, a young mutant named Curse appears and explains that his friend Fauna, they were playing in the jungle and near the monster zone, and, well, Fauna got lost. So the trio agree to help and go find Fauna, a young mutant who was initially shown in House of X #1, is running from one of the large beasts on the other portion, on the monster portion of the island. Cable and Pixie find Fauna and find the beast. Fauna's trying to explain that the beast is hurting somehow, though. Pixie uses her pixie dust to calm Fauna down a bit, and also tries to use it on the creature, but yeah, it doesn't seem to work. However, when Armor goes to save Fauna and Cable, saving Cable basically by putting Cable into her armor and letting the creature stomp on them, they notice there's something stuck in the monster's paw. And so Cable stuns the creature. Armor lifts up the paw. And then Cable uses his telekinesis to pull out a large sword. And then the beast scampers off. As soon as Cable takes the sword into his techno-organic hand, however, he's suddenly shown us the tale of the Space Knight Morn, the first Space Knight, wielder of the Light of Galador. Apparently, the Space Knight pursued monsters across the galaxy and right on our primordial Earth. The fight ends like many others, but there's bigger prey there. The creature, which destroys Morn the Space Knight. Cable comes to, however, and he decides that he's got himself a sword. You know what? Old Cable's thing was big guns. New Cable, he always wanted a sword. However, his father arrives to kind of say, "Hey, I thought we were clear. No one goes to Monster Island." They talk a bit. And Cable briefly explains to his father what he saw when he touched the sword. The story of the Space Knight and whatnot. And Cyclops touched the sword and realized that the metal is too light to be from Earth. Across the galaxy, at an intergalactic museum, with various things on display, including a brood and some Space Knights, well, the Space Knights there awaken and leave. The light of Galador has been found, and so the trio head to Earth. Next, we have a strange interlude, a giant crab creature. And it's going after someone who's reached their sovereign lands. And that someone shoots the hell out of them. And before the crab creature dies, it tells his assailant to go to hell, calling him an old man. The assailant is then revealed to be none other than Cable, as most readers know him. Old, with shoulder pads and a gun. And pouches, too. We then get a log entry, presumably from Cable. The Hunt. Entry 001. I will continue to update this log to include all pertinent details of the hunt in the unlikely event that I fail. I have rooted out the legion of demons on Earth, but they have fled off-world with hostages. They've cursed me and sworn they will have vengeance. I don't believe in curses, but I do believe in vengeance, so I have arranged transport to their territory and will pursue them until the job is done. The lives of the hostages will remain my top priority, but I cannot guarantee their safety or mine. I'm marking my path through this hell with arrows formed of rocks. The locals fear their magic that they don't understand are giving them wide berths. Time is short for the hostages and for Earth. I suspect that the demons are attempting to replicate the old spell that caused Earth to nearly burn in an inferno of hellfire. And that is where the issue ends. All in all, a strong start to Cable. Cable. Be interesting to see the return of old Cable, because Kid Cable's cool and all, but I got a soft spot in my heart for the old man, Anyways, moving on to X-Men number 8. So, pertinent previously details. The New Mutants went off into space into the Shi'ar territory. While there, they tagged along with the Starjammers, and the Starjammers were planning to steal a brood king egg. However, Wolfsbane of the New Mutants ended up taking it instead. And so, in the Sextant, part of the Academos habitat, Magma and Danny Moonstar take a look at the egg, referring to simply as something Rain brought back from space. In space, an area referred to as the adjacent space of a million broken civilizations, or also a Shi'ar graveyard, there's a bleed, the decaying energy of a dead universe. A river of dark matter flows from the collapsed then into the collapsing now. It is a spawning ground for predators and parasites, and finally says for brood. There are tons of space whales, and it appears at least one of them is swarming with brood. We then a quick rundown of the brood. They're always expanding, all-consuming. Their numbers unimaginable. They're to be perfectly honest, the brood are the Marvel Universe version of the xenomorphs from Aliens. Brood have 10,000 worlds of their own, 6 trillion drones, and 1,000 queens. As are the stars, they are their numbers, and they have gathered here now for one thing: to hunt the king egg. There's also a battle record from the end of War of Kings, including the death of the Laundra Darmani. That will be revisited later, so I'll actually go over that at the secondary version. So, cut to Gabriel. He's having a dream where he's falling seemingly through the hole in space. That being where the War of Kings concluded, with the deaths of Vulcan and Black Bolt. Turns out his brothers are trying to wake him, though, and he's been drinking with his teammates, Petra and Sway. Petra and Sway were part of the same non-X-Men, same X group as Vulcan that was formed by Moira McTaggart. And in fact, after their deaths at Krakoa, Vulcan absorbed their powers with the aid of their teammate Darwin, who had basically bonded with Vulcan for the sake of survival. Turns out, though, that Alex thinks that Gabriel's overdoing it, and that the three of them are a little out of control, and worse, they never clean up. Turns out, though, he's having the same dream of falling through the fault. As they walk through the summer house, however, they see three Akati, space whales, heading towards Earth. Back on Krakoa, Idai, initially from Generation Hope, and Brew, a mutant brood, go to see the New Mutants. Oh, they're walking through the Sextant, and Brew has concerns about housing, and they had just finished visiting Generation X, and well, they felt that Brew thinks that the living place of Generation X was unacceptable. However, Idai explains that that's how they are, living like animals. So they arrive at the New Mutants, are met by Danny Moonstar, Magma, Wolfsbane, and Magic. And Brew immediately sees the king egg and wants to know what the hell it is. or what the hell they're doing with it. Wolfsbane explains that it's her space booty, and with great cunning and guile she won it in battle. It's hers, and Brew can't have it. And so he, well, not being entirely sure how to put this, he puts forth his best effort, and says, "Listen here, you insane befurred woman, that's a king egg." And explains just what a king egg is. A king egg disrupts the breeding cycle. A king egg makes the queens go to war. More importantly, unless special precautions are taken, a brood hive can smell a king egg from a galaxy away. And that is when the Akati crashes into the sextant. And so the New Mutants arrive, promptly followed by Cyclops and Jean, hacking and slashing their way through the brood, while Brew protects the king egg. Cyclops has magic open up a few portals, and basically fires one blast into one, and then which then goes out all of the others. Brew informs Jean Grey that he knows how to stop the attack. Jean then passes this along to Cyclops, and so basically tells Magic, "Hey, we'll lead the brood away from here. You hold things down here," which she's good for that. So, Brew, Jean, and Cyclops go back to the port of the summer house, and the ship's ready, and so the Summers brothers, plus Jean and Brew, head off to Shi'ar space. Now, comes to the fault. And as there's portions that are printed over, RE, the fault. An after-action report of the events surrounding the War of Kings and the death of Lilandra Naramani. 1. Gladiator, Kalark. Crowned Magister of the Empire after the death of or exile of a Naramani heir. Former Super Guardian leader of the Imperial Guard. Update. Gladiator has recently signaled his desire to surrender the Imperial throne to Zandra Naramani, the genetic offspring of Lilandra Naramani and Charles Xavier. 2. Black Bolt, Black Guard Boltagon. Killed at the conclusion of the war when a T-bomb detonated, ripping a hole in the fabric of space and time. This anomaly is known as the Fault, and nothing has ever escaped it. Update. He does not speak, so no one knows exactly how Black Bolt escaped from the Fault. Some say he died and returned as the Midnight King. Others know better and understand the power of genetic prophecy. The will of a celestial messiah cannot be denied. 3. Vulcan, Gabriel Summers. Also included the conclusion of the war when the T-bomb detonated. Vulcan was also believed to have perished in the Fault. Update. Vulcan never died. Okay, update. Alright. In Shi'ar space, the Starjammers have apparently been captured by a Kree accuser. Apparently, said accuser had hired them to steal the king egg. And is discussing what happened to it via subspace transmission with Sunspot, who's on Chandalar. It basically just becomes kind of a case of like, okay, I'll tell you where if you let the Starjammers go, I'll give the egg to them and to give to you. Then, the accuser gets what he wants, they provide what they promised, and then the accuser can lose Sunspot's number. And apparently, Sunspot really didn't care to negotiate any further. So, it's accepted. Apparently, it's Sunspot doing a favor for someone who doesn't deserve it. Though, interestingly, the call originated from Shi'ar space. Why ever would a Kree accuser be in Shi'ar space? Cut to Shi'ar space, subsector 43, a known brood spawning ground. Gladiator and his son, Kid Gladiator, Kubark, as well as Manta and Oracle of the Imperial Guard, are hunting brood. However, Oracle is informed, presumably by Smasher, Cannonball's wife, and one of the tenants in the building owned by the Channelar building owned by Sunspot, that there's a Kree accuser in Sector 43. And so Gladiator tells his son to reload his rifle because they have a new target. When Kid Gladiator asks what they're hunting now, Gladiator simply explains, better game. And that is where the issue ends. I have to wonder if this is going to be any... This is basically serving as a build-up to the X-Men's involvement in the upcoming Empire crossover. More than likely it is, as the Empire crossover involves Kree, and there are numerous X-Men tie-ins. Anyways, moving on to New Mutants number 9. Where we left off with the New Mutants, mostly of the old school New Mutants had gone off into space, and all but one of the group that went off into space returned, as Sunspot opted to stay behind on Chandelar with his best friend Cannonball. The rest, however, are back on Earth. Also, Boom Boom had gotten involved in a rescue mission while they were gone, however, a mission that was not initially thought to be a rescue mission, but became one for Beak and Angel and their children. The mission went a bit sideways. People died. Yeah. No mutants died, but Beak's parents did. The issue begins in Pershimisto Carnelia. A Russian voice says from a pipe that they're sorry. So sorry that whatever was done, they didn't mean to do it. There's a quick rundown of Carnelia. It's a major resources being machinery, electronics, gas, coal, iron ore, copper, lead, zinc, nickel, gold, and silver. It's nestled in the Carpathian Mountains. The former state, founded in the state in the 20s, became a satellite of the USSR, and became an independent democratic nation after the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. It's typically enjoyed peaceful relations with the Western world. A recent attack on Parliament, which left 129 representatives and aides dead, has caused them to withdraw from the world stage. Carnelia does not recognize Krakow as a sovereign nation. There is it borders countries that it borders are Ukraine, Romania, Hungary, and Slovakia. Interesting. There's also a locations given on this map for Ladria and Simcaria. Okay. Interesting. Moving on, however. Back on Krakoa at the Academos habitat, presumably after the Brood attack. Actually, possibly before it. Boom Boom is giving the rest of the mutants grief over the fact that, they went off into space and left her there. Alright, without her. Wolfsbane apparently tried to wake her up, but, well, Boom Boom's impossible to wake. And, Magma arrives. Is thrilled to see Danny. Completely ignores Chamber, however, who is a little put off by it. At the summer house, Cyclops is having a Cyclops, as Captain Commander, is having a discussion with one of the captains, Magic, namely about what happened in Nebraska. The short story: the council is concerned, and Magic says that the council's concern has been noted, but she assures him from captain to captain there's no reason to worry. And she'd like to get back to Earth and actually have her feet on the ground. Back in Carnalia, two soldiers are going through a building when they find something odd. So, on Krakoa, it's revealed that Boom Boom reveals, hey, we've got the Pack Rat too. And as they're going to the country of Carnalia, which doesn't have a gate, they can't even just take a gate there, so... And there's also a bit of... a bit brought up about how, you know, we need to be careful. This could be a disaster. If the Carnelians say we're kidnapping their children, you know, the rest of the world will see will turn to even more of a boogeyman. And so, Boom Boom, however, says, you know, you ever heard the expression it's better to beg forgiveness than ask permission? In Alpha House of the Sextant, I guess it's supposed to... Oh, yeah. Armor, Mondo, and Cypher are trying to integrate with the Krakoan systems again. Cypher once again asks Mondo to bond with Krakoa. Neither Krakoa or Mondo are a fan of it, though. And when it's done, Mondo's feeling a little sick. We also get a missing person poster for a young girl named Natasha Rapina, 13 years old, 5'3", 123, black hair, blue eyes, and explained it on Tuesday, December 16th, at 2:36 a.m. The 112 call was received by authorities regarding a domestic disturbance on Sadovaya Street. Upon arriving, law enforcement found two adults, Jakob and Marissa, deceased. Their 13-year-old daughter is missing and presumed endangered. Anyone with information on Natasha's whereabouts or who may have information about the events of December 16th is encouraged to call your local police agency or call 112. In Carnalia, the disturbance has grown, and the soldiers present are unsure how to proceed. The Pack Rat arrives, and we found out that Boom Boom knows a little bit of Russian. Explaining that a fence she used out of Brighton Beach only spoke Russian, so she picked up a little so she could negotiate with him. When she gets called out for being a fence, she said, "Friend." I said, "Friend." They arrive, however, and it appears that the mutant is affecting reality around her. So they get into contact. First, Karma tries to take the wheel. It does not go well. And so Chamber, also being a psychic, tries, and that also does not go well. So they contact Cypher, explain what's going on, and Cypher is like, okay, hold off. You know, if this mutant question can manipulate reality, there's no telling what will happen. We've got some reinforcements and be on our way. Well, it turns out the reinforcements that Cypher's going after are none other than the Mutant Liberation Front, namely Wildside. It's interesting to note that apparently the while not only have the heroes kind of, stuck to the groups they were in initially, some of the villains have done the same, at least the ones that haven't been recruited into other teams. And that is where the issue ends. Though, oh yes, first, Cypher does ask Wildside for help. Wildside is not too a little touchy about it, explaining that the mutants are a bunch of mewling runts that are alive only because they got horseshoes shoved up their rectums. So of course they need his help. He then says, "Next time, please knock." It's nice to see, and kind of expanded upon like that. That is where the issue, like I said, comes to its close. Moving on to Ghost Rider number 6. Where we left off, Danny Ketch had become the spirit of corruption. Johnny Blaze, the king of hell, had busted Mephisto out of his cell in the Hotel Inferno and had been transported to a wintry location by Doctor Strange. Also, one of the demons that was killed by Blaze earlier in the series, the death was being looked into by none other than the Punisher and Wolverine, who have just caught up with Danny to find out what the hell's going on. Figuring Blaze is in hell, so it can't be Blaze that killed. Everyone says a Ghost Rider killed this cop, so it can't be Blaze because he's in hell. So, and it also isn't the one rooming with the Avengers because, he drives a car, not a motorcycle. So the issue begins in Long Island. Stacey Dolan is watching movies with her husband and their kids. Apparently it's the daughter's night to pick a movie. Their son's not happy about this. There's a knock on the door, however. It's Emma from the bar, as well as being controlled by Blackheart, who is also there. They need Stacy. Back in Brooklyn, Wolverine, Punisher, are dealing with Caretaker and Danny, who has told them that Johnny's not in hell anymore. And apparently, the sword that Danny's wielding is screaming for the blood of both Punisher and Wolverine. Punisher insists that Johnny needs to answer for what happened at the office to the dead cop, and gets promptly stabbed by Danny. Wolverine then tackles Danny and apparently he has a strange kind of contact weapon which burns Wolverine's face. To explain that what Danny's sword does, the Blight Blade does, is it's a part of the spirit of corruption. Those stabbed with are consumed by every corrupt thing they've done in their lives, until it consumes them from the inside out. It's explained that the fact that Punisher is a pile of sludge on the street means that he is not corrupt. And so, Danny unspirit of corruptions himself and goes back to being Danny, apologizes for losing control, and the trio talk. Also, Punisher does make a point of saying, if you do that to me again, he just stick every last piece of C4 down Danny's throat and turn him into nothing more than red mist. And then he turns to a certain Caretaker, but mainly to ask if there's any proof of the cop being a demon. In wherever it is that Doctor Strange has brought Mephisto and Blaze, Blaze and Mephisto talk. Blaze and Strange talk, I mean. Strange wants to know why Blaze is busting Mephisto out of the Hotel Inferno. To which Blaze responds by saying, "None of your damn business, wizard." And also goes on the spiel of, hey, you left me in hell. Promising it would be temporary. Basically, you used me and abandoned me in hell. Left to fend for myself in the place that destroyed everything he cared about. And so he took the role and became the king. But things have gone bad and he needs to fix them. And he needs Mephisto and Mephisto's knowledge in order to put things right. Mephisto, however, has noticed something about Strange and brings it to Johnny's attention. The fact that Strange's hands are no longer shaking. Strange, he has actually made a deal with a demon. And is able to practice medicine again as his hands no longer shake. Strange is a bit more complex than that, but yeah. And so we get a fight between Blaze and Strange, during which Mephisto runs away until the two recapture him. However, the door out into the sanctum has been found, though Strange insists that Mephisto's influence is clouding Johnny's judgment. At the office of the chief medical examiner in Manhattan, Punisher, Wolverine, Danny, and Caretaker are investigating the body. Caretaker, Frank says the body looks like a dead cop. It's also explained that the coroner owes Frank a favor. The favor being that Punisher caught him trying to alter death certificates for the mob, and was being blackmailed. So, Punisher took care of the blackmailer. Now, dude owes Punisher. Usually kind of a, hey, I just need to, I need to see this stiff that's been brought in. Caretaker takes out an ancient coin, places it on the cop's head, and the cop's body turned into that of a demon. And so, basically, what it means is that Johnny probably doesn't know exactly what's going on, and that it's also explained that the more demons he takes out with his damnation stare, the more they intermingle with his soul, pushing him toward anger, toward becoming the devil. And it's informed that he needs to stop him before he goes too far. At the sanctum, across town, Strange is promptly thrown out through the window, and Blaze is standing in the street, now with a full set of horns on his head, and telling Strange that Strange should have walked away when he had the chance. It's where the issue ends. Alright. Last up for the video, we've got Punisher Soviet, number 5. Which I thought was going to be the final issue, but apparently is not. Where we left off, the Punisher was targeting Russian mobster Konstantin Pronchenko. During this, he met another Russian by the name of Valery Stepanovich. Stepanovich had been a soldier in the Soviet army years ago, and Pronchenko had been his superior. Well, it turns out that Pronchenko sold him out, and, well, yeah. Then upon returning, and after the fall of the Soviet Union, Pronchenko became a mob boss. Stepanovich, however, was still tortured by the memories of what he went through in Afghanistan, and vowed revenge, which he's been taking. And, in fact, by going after Pronchenko's people, he's actually already got them thinking that, oh, the Punisher's onto us. So, Castle and Stepanovich have joined forces and have kidnapped Pronchenko's most current wife, who has been trying to persuade Poroshenko to move into legitimate business streams. And it's kind of beginning to work. In fact, Poroshenko's supposed to meet with a senator. But they had to be careful about it because the senator couldn't go to Poroshenko. He's always being followed by someone, after all. Government, media, someone's following him, keeping an eye on him. So, Poroshenko's supposed to go to him. Well, that is explained later. So the issue starts up with Punisher talking with Poroshenko's wife, and she does explain, and the whole thing with the senator is explained. And she's pretty sure that she's a goner at this point. Because once they've got all the information they need from her, Punisher and Stepanovich don't need her. And if seeing that she's given passed along information about Stepanovich to them, well, Poroshenko won't trust her and will probably want her dead. The next morning, Frank, who had been guarding her, turns to look where she was and sees she's gone, seemingly off the edge of a cliff, leaving his coat, which he'd given her to protect against the cold. So, some of Poroshenko's, some of the mercenaries have been hired by Poroshenko, and his 3 sons have shown up. The idea being that the mercenaries kill the Punisher. They take the Punisher's body to their dad and say, "Hey, look what I got you." They could get careless about their stepmother. Apparently, in fact, one of them tried to sleep with her, but we got turned down. So, Poroshenko's kids stay at the staging area while the rest of the troops move out. They're following the tracker placed on Poroshenko's wife. However, it was removed. It has been since removed, however. So Stepanovich and Castle presume that Poroshenko's wife committed suicide by jumping off the cliff. Punisher presumes that she's painted all over the rocks at the bottom. Stepanovich wonders if maybe she made it. However, and even asks, do you think she'd go back to Poroshenko? To which Frank says if she thought the gorge was her best shot instead of his guys taking her off us intact, probably not. So they continue on, and it's explained that the tracker ended up on a truck. And Stepanovich also explains that he kind of felt sorry for the civilian. He felt sorry for the civilians in Afghanistan, saying they got fucked. His thoughts on the matter that they gave them a glimpse of something better, something sensible, and then they left. And then they left. When they left, they just got. He ended even blame the Mujahideens. Kind of, if they want to live in case, more power to them. He kind of sees the Russian army being the fools stuck their hands in the tiger's mouth. We go more into Poroshenko as a corrupt army officer, and Stepanovich explains that his country was stolen by a bunch of motherfuckers who never shed a single drop of blood for it. And Frank and Stepanovich come upon the staging area. They kill the mercenaries there and take. I hate that. I can't remember the guy's friggin' name. Poroshenko's son's captive. The soldiers, the rest of the mercenaries realize they've been had, go back to the staging area. First, Huey shows up and pins down Porchenko and Punisher underneath the Humvee that has Porchenko's kids in the back. So they can't fire on. They're human shields. On top of, a probably somewhat bullet-resistant vehicle. Stefanovic makes a run for the other Humvee, which has a 50 cal mount on the top. Frank pops out from underneath to cover Stefanovic. Stefanovic did take some hits, but he lights up the Huey, which then crashes. Punisher finishes off the soldiers, get out of the Huey, and discovers that when the Huey's rotor blades came off in the explosion, it impaled Valerie. And Punisher stays with him until he dies, and obviously respects are passed along, and then that's where the issue ends. And that's it for this video. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.